It is senior day here at the University of Kansas, and a huge day for these four guys: Todd Reese, Jake Sharp, Kerry Meyer, and Darryl Stuckey. They're not only captains, today is their final day to wear those uniforms here in Memorial Stadium as they face off against the Huskers and possibly one of the best to ever play defense in the Big 12 Conference in Ndamukong Suh. Welcome to college football, presented by K Jewelers. Today featuring the Nebraska Cornhuskers and the Kansas Jayhawks from Memorial Stadium in Lawrence, Kansas. Here is the Big 12 today, and this is what has happened so far. Texas winning handily over Baylor. Missouri captures K-State, or is capturing them in the fourth quarter. Iowa State leads Colorado, and tonight A&M at Oklahoma, and Texas Tech will play in Stillwater against the Cowboys. Hi, everybody. Ron Franklin along with Ed Cunningham, and welcome to Lawrence, Kansas. I said just a moment ago that it's senior day, and seniors get really amped up, and they are ready to make their final stamp of approval before they leave. Is that enough against this great defense of the Cornhuskers?
Well, I think it go one way or the other. They're very amped up, but they've had a tough stretch here for Kansas. So if you make a mistake early, maybe it goes against you. But if you make some good plays early, maybe it goes for you. And one guy that we'll be keeping close watch on, of course, is Todd Reese. Has been in really the first slump of his career in the last 4 ball games. And talking to Coach Mangino, they had a talk with him this week and said, you don't have to do everything. You don't have to hit a home run every time. Take some base hits and we'll be fine.
Well, last week we did that game between Oklahoma and Nebraska, and offensively Nebraska only recorded 7 first downs. However, their defense played lights out.
And of course it always starts, as you mentioned at the top, one of the best defensive players in the country, one of the best players in the country in Ndamukong Suh. This guy dominates the game in every facet. He is so good against the run, so powerful, hard to move out of there, an excellent pass rusher, not always getting the sack, but almost always getting pressure. He's also very productive. Interception against Missouri, had the block kick last week against Nebraska, and the intangibles, a very smart guy, and always hustles to the ball.
Well, on this senior day, you can see the blue jerseyed and blue helmet clad Kansas Jayhawks, and here they take the field. As KU takes the field, a reminder coming up. It's the Nebraska Cornhuskers and the Jayhawks of Kansas kickoff in just a few moments. Going to be a very important game as you look at Coach Mangino on the sideline. These Jayhawks have won the toss, and they have deferred to the second hand. So we'll get an opportunity to see the KU defense and the Nebraska offense first this afternoon as Brandstetter prepares to kick it off, and Kansas will have the wind behind them here in this first quarter.
Expect to see both quarterbacks today for Nebraska, Zach Lee and Cody Green. I would suspect Zach Lee will get the start.
Dual safety. This is going to come down to Marlowe at the 2-yard line. Far side of the field. 35-40. And then tripped up as he crosses the 40-yard line. Anthony Davis with the tackles. You take a look at Zach Lee and his profile.
Because of the running game issues they had earlier in the year, they had gone with Cody Green, started against Baylor, started last week against Oklahoma. The more veteran Zach Lee now getting the start. Of course, he came in against Oklahoma there in the second quarter with the ball on the 1-yard line and finished out that game. Not surprised by this at all. They need a guy just to manage the game with the way they play defense.
So you think that we will see Green, but it's just going to be after a couple of 3 series?
I would imagine so, yeah.
They're going to go on top on first down, and the ball is caught and the receiver falls down as the defensive back Davis had fallen down just prior to that, and it goes for a big gainer to Niles Paul, 35 yards.
Well, right away taking advantage. This has been the weak spot for Kansas defensively, is that left cornerback spot. Anthony Davis gets the start today. Damon Patterson has taken a turn there. DJ Bashirs has taken a turn there, and right away they go after Davis, who hasn't played much since the beginning of the season.
Halu going to be hit at the line of scrimmage and spun around by Lubbock Smith. It'll be a gain of a couple. And here are the impact players. Ed?
Matt O'Hanlon last week with 3 interceptions, National Defensive Player of the Week. Philip Dillard, the weak side outside linebacker, had a big interception against Oklahoma there in the 4th quarter with 2 minutes left that sealed it. And Alex Henry missed a field goal last week from 43 yards, kind of rare, but a really good day punting a 66-yarder early in the game against Oklahoma that flipped the field.
Chris Brooks in motion. They run it back toward the boundary. Pitch, 20, 15, down to the 10 is Roy Halu, and it will be a 1st and goal, Nebraska. That is a gain of 14 yards on the running play as Lubbock Smith will force him out of bounds.
And Halu last week, of course, had a breakout game, 2nd year in a row that he's gone over 100 yards against Oklahoma. Injured his shoulder against Missouri, was really banged up, didn't practice much, had a full week of practice last week. Expect maybe another option here. He's running very well.
And at fullback is Legate, number 48. Follow him and you'll follow the ball. He takes it outside to the left, and they will go to the 4-yard line. Halu is the ball carrier, and it's going to be Holden Tharp making the tackle for the Kansas Jayhawks. Now, earlier this week when we talked on the phone with the coaches from Nebraska, we asked them in terms of, or to talk in terms of, how important it was to get a quick start offensively.
Well, and great call early by Sean Watson, I think, to go right after that weak spot of Kansas's defense. Even though it was good coverage by Anthony Davis, just hasn't been playing much. I thought that was a nice call to start.
Zach Lee at quarterback with a 2nd down and goal. Halu right up the middle. He'll take it in the vicinity of the 1-yard line, and it's going to be 3rd down and goal for the Huskers.
And now, if you're Kansas, what you have to be aware of is the play action pass. Because they've been getting pounded a little bit here by Halu, I would suspect Sean Watson is going to call a play action pass here. Remember, last week it was Ryan Hill, the tight end, who snuck out and was wide open against Oklahoma. Possibly the same thing, Hill to the right of the formation.
Hill, the tight end, to the right. There was a wing just beyond him, but they run it the other way on the keeper. Lee loses the football, recovered in the end zone by Halu. It is touchdown, Nebraska. Drew Dudley made the hit, the middle linebacker, and obviously, since there was no signal from the official, that ball was not across the plane as yet.
Well, 2nd week in a row that Nebraska has fumbled a option play down around the goal line, and that was Justin Springer. Not much of a hit there on Lee. Probably should have pitched that. They had a lead block out there, only 1 defender, but Halu very heads up, makes the play.
Extra point attempt by Henry, up, and it is good. So a fumble recovery in the end zone. Give credit to Roy Halu. It is touchdown for the Nebraska Cornhuskers, and 7-0. They go on top. 12:05 left to play, opening quarter. We'll be right back. Well, the now famous number 93 of the Nebraska Cornhuskers, Ndamukong Suh. And if there is anybody in college football, as you look at Todd Reesing on the near sideline, the starting quarterback for the Jayhawks, if there's any man in college football who creates as much of a problem as Suh, I don't know of anybody who creates more of a problem than he does, for sure. This is McDougal on the kick return, and he'll take it to the 31-yard line. And let's take a look at that player profile on the starting quarterback for the Kansas Jayhawks.
been really struggling the last 4 ball games. Finally came out that he is battling a groin injury on his right side. So when he twists into his throw, he has a problem. A little bit of a problem when he gets out of the pocket. So we'll track that. But they just need him to settle down a little bit. He felt like he needed to put too much on his own shoulders there in the middle of the season, especially when Jake Sharp got injured.
Jake Sharp in the backfield along with Reesing. And he throws it to Sharp on first down, and Jake drops the football, and very alertly Nebraska was out there all over that. And although it was a forward pass, tell me about the impact players.
Desmond Briscoe had 176 yards receiving last year against Nebraska. They really need a big game out of him today. Jeff Spikes, who had been benched at right tackle, goes in at right guard to try to handle Sue. We'll watch him all day. And Darryl Stuckey, all Big 12 safety first team last year, needs some big hits and possibly some turnovers out of him this afternoon in his last ball game here at Memorial Stadium.
That's Meyer in motion. And going to be a quarterback draw. Injured groin and all. He will take it to around the 34-yard line. Tackled by Eric Haig. And it'll be a 3rd down situation for the Jayhawks. Ed, your game plan?
Well, I think they need to be hard-headed with the run game. Not only are we going to see Sharp, but Aporum we'll see in there as well. Wear out Kerry Meyer's hands. Those short intermediate passes are key. And for Nebraska last week, they played quite a bit of man and some blitz against Oklahoma. I think today go back to the zone coverage they do so well, because I think they can get plenty of pressure with their front 4.
So empty backfield with the exception of the quarterback Reesing, and with Nebraska this has been an automatic blitz, although they did not on that play. Throws to Meyer, in and out of his hands, and it'll be punting time for the Jayhawks.
Not quite on the money. Usually you would expect Meyer to make that catch. And you know, so much has been put on Todd Reesing and his struggles. 10 turnovers in the last 4 games. But there's been things like that. The Meyer fumble, of course, against Texas Tech. Briscoe had the drop on a sure touchdown against Oklahoma. So it hasn't been all the quarterback, and they need to get in sync here a little quicker.
Well, here's the boot. Ball on the run. Pushes him all the way back inside the 10. And a penalty marker comes down.
Well, it's a block in the back. Unbelievable how sometimes, guys, that was, I believe they're going to get Graham Stoddard, number 38 for Nebraska.
57 yards on the kick, 8 on the return.
Looked to me like he had Drew Dudley.
An illegal block in the back by number 38 of the receiving team. Penalties half the distance to the goal, and it's first down.
So we'll take a timeout. One more look at the push in the back. It is right there. We'll be right back. 7-0 Huskers.
ESPN's College Football on ABC. Presented by Kay Jewelers, the #1 jewelry store in America. Pacific Life, for insurance, annuities, and investments. Choose Pacific Life, the power to help you succeed. And Bud Light, with the just right taste that's not too heavy, not too light. The difference is drinkability.
Well, today's game is the final home appearance for Todd Reesing, Darryl Stuckey, and right here Kerry Meyer. And Kerry is particularly good to mention in the fact he came here as a quarterback. Reesing came in as a young player, and he beat him out. And Kerry Meyer went to the coaching staff and said, hey, you know, it's not going to ruin my ego. I want to play. I want to help my teammates. Been a wide receiver and has contributed mightily to this Jayhawk offense. As the running play, Halu breaks the tackle and dives out across the 15-yard line.
And let's not forget, even though Kansas has been on a tough stretch here, how good this senior class has been. And let's, you know, you sometimes forget in 2007 they went to the Orange Bowl, beat a very good Virginia Tech team.
Yep.
And for the first time in Kansas history, consecutive bowl berths, and including last year and the year before to the Orange Bowl. So even though it's a tough stretch, we really need to make sure you understand how good this class has been.
2nd down and short. Got a down to play with, but they're not going to. It's going to be a quarterback keeper. Close to the first down, but I'm not sure. Yeah, he did get it. Holden Tharp with still another tackle. We're going to have to keep an eye on his numbers today, because the freshman out of Mulvane, Kansas, It just seems to. I think we've already got him for 3 tackles. He is one of those I like to call throwback kind of guys. Not a lot of pretense. He just does his talking with that headgear and his shoulder pads.
And I think what Mr. Tharp should look for here, even though it's heavy, again, be afraid of the play action on this. This feels like one of those downs.
3rd down, just over 1. Robinson in the ball game, and Robinson is going to be stopped. He does not have the first down. So a nice job of the KU defense, and it's going to be punting time for the Nebraska Cornhuskers. And keep in mind, they will be punting into a pretty stiff breeze here in Lawrence. Chris Harris is a man who got credit for the tackle.
A little shocked that Robinson is in there. Helu, of course, has that shoulder injury. Didn't look like he got hurt on the play before. Nothing against Robinson, but when you've got that hot hand of Helu, you would suspect that he'd be the one on the inside run there on 3rd and short.
Henry back to punt. Good. Well, it's not good. The wind grabbed it. It has given a big KU bounce, and that thing is not going to go past the 50-yard line. Well, tonight on ABC's Saturday Night Football, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish face off with the Panthers of Pittsburgh. Saturday Night Football presented by Southwest Airlines at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. Now, some parts of the country are going to see Texas Tech, Oklahoma State. So to find the game in your area, go to ESPN.com and search maps. 7-0. Huskers on top at the 8:54 mark of this opening quarter. Jake Sharp right up the middle. Jake will take it for 3. Jake is another guy who has been a big contributor. But Ed, I went and I looked back. 3rd game of the year was Duke, which they won handily. Up until that point, he had 227 yards, and since then, which is what, 5 games, he only has had 141. And it has been a big difference because they've almost had to abandon the run at times.
Yeah, he had a calf injury in practice before that Duke game, and it's starting to look healthy, though. We saw him last week against Kansas State. Looks like he might have some of that speed back.
Racing, play action, throws his pass complete, flags down all over the place. Briscoe, the receiver, and enough for the first down to the 38-yard line of Nebraska.
And I think they're going to get an offensive pass interference. This was a pick play.
Interference by number 86 of the offense. The 15-yard penalty and replay 2nd down.
That's Berry, the tight end.
Yeah, he was running a crossing route and made no bones about the fact that he was basically blocking as he went to clear out, and it wipes out what was a very good catch by Desmond Briscoe. Watch as he goes to cross with Beery, and he just absolutely gets a decleater against Philip Dillard. The only problem is that would be legal if it was a running play, but on a passing play, obviously the offense cannot hit them, and that wipes out what would have been a first down.
Well, you see on the sideline, that is not a greeting of nice job.
Well, you don't have to put your arms up. You can just keep running.
This pass thrown complete to Sharp, and it'll be a gain of about 5 yards, so it'll bring up 3rd down and still long for the Jayhawks. They got to take it all the way down to the 40-yard line of Nebraska.
And I think we should remember that penalty, because that would have been a first down in Nebraska territory.
38-yard line.
Yeah, and now you get that penalty, and against this defense, you just can't give them any help.
Crick and Sue, the 2 defensive tackles for Nebraska. Good block for the quarterback. Pass thrown complete. That's Meyer. Fights his way forward to the 46-yard line. Amukamara is there to make the stop, and Amukamara will stop him about 5 yards short of the first down.
Amukamara, one of those guys that the Pelini's brothers, of course, Bo, the head coach, and his brother Carl, who's a defensive line coach and defensive coordinator, switched from wide receiver to cornerback when they got here. And his development this year, they've been working with him about being confident. We saw last week against Oklahoma that great interception starting to pay off.
Low kick. lets it go, and that ball is going to be touched dead at the 5-yard line. So we're going to take a timeout. We will come back. Nebraska will be scrimmaging from deep in their own territory. So welcome back to Lawrence, Kansas. For the second straight time, this Nebraska offense is having to scrimmage from deep in their own territory. This time at the 5-yard line.
First and 10, Nebraska at the 5.
Hello. Hit at the line of scrimmage. No gain. Holden Tharp, the first man to make contact.
You know, you were talking about Tharp earlier. He's a guy, of course, mid-season, Clint Bowen, the defensive coordinator, and his staff decided to start playing some of these younger players. A guy that they wanted to redshirt, but they needed a little more attitude, a little better tacklers. They had hoped they could sit him down, but they say he has not backed down. And actually, he's responded much better than they expected he would.
He's got 4 tackles already this afternoon, and we're at the 5:48 mark of the opening quarter. And he seems to do it now every game. Gets better and better. Good play action. Lee got a man wide open at the 23-yard line. It is caught and still headed downfield as Niles Paul, an able save, finally stopped at the 42-yard line. 37 yards in the play.
Well, this is the type of offense as we start heading towards the Big 12 championship. Of course, it's looking more and more like next week's game, Nebraska, Kansas State may settle this whole thing in the north. If Nebraska can get something like this going, and that was a nice call by Sean Watson to totally confuse Kansas defense. Niles Paul came all the way across the formation with some play action. They're going to be tough to deal with this defense that they bring to the field.
From the 42, little play action. Lee overthrown. In fact, the closest man to him was the Kansas defender. Let's go to New York. Matt Weiner. Okay, Matt, thanks so much. Our situation, 7-0. Cornhuskers on top. Just under 5 minutes to play, first quarter. Hello will take it to the 45, tackled by Tharp. That's tackle number 5. Maybe we should start a tackle counter when the defense comes out for the Kansas Jayhawks. But the young man is really putting himself in an elevated position, and rightfully so.
And it's interesting because Kansas has struggled so much on offensive turnovers. I think a lot of people have overlooked how much steady improvement this defense has made since some of those changes were instituted, including John Williams coming in at defensive tackle and Lubbock Smith to safety.
John Williams has been also a mainstay. Was an offensive lineman. They moved him over. Number 71 is going to stay on defense. Option play, and on the pitch back, knocked out of bounds. Let's see. He's still looking to spot. Now he does at the 48. Laptad there defensively. And it's going to be punting time for the Cornhuskers. And Laptad is shaken up.
Laptad did a really nice job coming over there defending it, but I think he ducked his head. It looked like the helmets collided between him and Halou. And because he's down on the sidelines, they're going to call it. Even though he's off the field, it's too dangerous to have a young man laying that close to the action.
So the linesman right there blew the whistle, pointed toward himself, saying it's my time because of the injury. And you can see Laptad is looks a little foggy right now.
Yeah, he's falling down, and he catches a forearm and a helmet. Good physical run by Halou, but because he was falling down, Laptad took one in the head.
McDougal, the deep man. Henry with the punt. Very high, but again, the wind has this one. He touched dead at the 31-yard line.
Ball covered by number 13, E.J. Smith.
Jimmy Johnson's misfortune in Texas opened the door for Mark Martin, and now with just 2 races left, the pressure is on. The chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup continues at Phoenix. Coverage begins Sunday, 2:30 Eastern on ABC. Telecast presented by Goodyear. And a reminder that Johnson has won 3 of the last 4 races that have been run at that Phoenix International Raceway. Of course, Mark Martin, I think, won the last one. Anyway, it makes for good conversation. Our score 7-0. First down at the 31. And Jake Sharp right up the middle. There's just not much there. They have made some changes with the offense on that front. Looking that they have to block Sue and the likes of Jared Crick and Pierre Allen and Barry Turner, but they're not really able to just blow them off the line.
No, they took Brad Thorson from left guard, moved him to right tackle. Number 76, Jeff Spikes, who had been starting at right tackle and struggling, over to right guard, and Capra, number 59, goes over to left guard.
Reesing looks over and points, corner blitz. Yep, there's got one coming, and the ball is thrown incomplete. Jonathan Wilson. I'm not so sure that Jonathan was the intended receiver. I thought the deeper man is that McDougal was the guy that he really was looking for.
Good protection for Kansas up front, but here's all the changes they made. That's a redshirt freshman at left tackle. There are no seniors on the two deep for Kansas's offensive line. They're still looking, of course, Mark Mangino's background on offensive line coaching, still looking for a leader.
Third down, line to make is the 41-yard line. Blitz coming off the left corner. Reesing gonna be sacked at the 24. Amukamara comes off the left side. He ran all the way across the field, and just as they got to the hash mark, decked him for the first sack.
Well, Amukamara is really starting to turn into a nice player. Watch as he starts to creep towards the line of scrimmage. And it's a rollout and nobody to pick up. As a matter of fact, there was so much confusion on the right side of that line. We just mentioned Brad Thorson, the new right tackle, didn't know who to pick up.
On the run, Paul. And he'll be tackled at the 47-yard line.
Stop made by number 49.
This time the best field position that Nebraska has started with, and that pass to Cooper is caught in the tackle immediately by Anthony Davis.
Stop made by number 30, Anthony Davis.
And Davis, a young man who started the beginning of the season, nice read by him. He sees the blocker. He was out there covering number 84, Brandon Kenny, but read right through that. But they moved him back to scout team, worked on his confidence, and getting his first starts at the beginning of the season.
Glad to tell you that Laptad is back in the ball game, so maybe a little fuzzy after that hit on the sideline, but happy to see that he's back for the Jayhawks. Hello. Turns it back inside, going to be hit by Justin Thornton. Short gain right there. It'll be third down. Let's call it 10 for Nebraska. If you just joined us, the Huskers went right down the field, bang, bang, with a couple of plays that the first one almost a home run. Then they took it into the end zone on a fumble by the quarterback, Zach Lee, and it was recovered by Hellu for the touchdown. So officially touchdown by recovery by Hellu. Since then, their offense has not really done a whole lot. Got to take it this time to the 43-yard line. Middle screen, ball is loose, incomplete on the pass. Justin Thornton broke it up, and a nice job defensively at the top of your screen. Hellu went circling out of the backfield. I feel certain that's who they wanted.
It was.
And the Kansas defender was all over him.
Maxwell Onyebule, another senior playing his last game, did an excellent job reading Hellu, and that's right where Zach Lee was trying to go with that screen.
So Henry to punt it away. Third time that the Cornhuskers have punted here in the opening quarter, and a timeout has been called by Nebraska. So we'll take a timeout. 7-0. Nebraska on top. We'll be right back. So we are back. Nebraska called the timeout. Now they will punt. Third time that they kick. Now Henry waiting for the snap. He's got McDougal facing him, and here's the boot. Boy, they almost got to hit. This one a spiral, so it penetrates that wind better. Picked up. Wow. You don't pick up a ball at the 4-yard line. Even if it goes out of bounds, you don't take a chance on getting hit and fumbling and giving away a free 7 points.
And what do you think the special teams coach is telling the true freshman McDougald right now? Exactly what you said.
Well, Ndamukong Suh has not been a huge factor so far, nor has Crick, his fellow defensive tackle. But it is because Kansas is moving things away from them.
Yes, they are. They're moving the pocket even when, of course, Crick, as you mentioned, having a nice year as well, leading tackler. But they're moving the pocket or getting the ball out very quickly out of Reesing's hands.
Worst field position of the day for the Jayhawks as they scrimmage from their own 6-yard line. 7-0. Nebraska leads. Jake Sharp. Well, that's some tough sledding right there as they ran right into the teeth of you-know-who. And you see you-know-who getting off the bottom of the stack in Ndamukong Suh.
You know, it's interesting watching. Notice the stances of these defensive linemen. They're kind of squatted down. Remember Randy White for the Dallas Cowboys? Randy White used to play that way, where he'd kind of squat down and read you and use his hands and try to squeeze you off. And these guys play that way. And Carl Pelini, the defensive line coach, does such a fine job of having these guys read the plays. They're not just charging through straight up the field. They squat, read, and use their hands really well.
Look at Suh. He's just taken his hand off the ground. And what he's looking to do, as that is the end of the first quarter, we'll talk more about it. He also was looking to drop into coverage, if you can believe it. We'll be right back. To the KU cheerleaders. A lot of those people have been very busy. They did basketball last night. And this gentleman right here, he probably needs to be playing with the balancing act he's got going.
Lemonade's a tough sale today. It's a little chilly out. I think coffee would go a little better on his head.
Unless you sell something else with the lemonade. Here's Reesing. Has 5, has 10, and then very wisely slides down at the 23-yard line. So, Ed Cunningham, as we look at what has happened so far in this football game, defensively, both teams, with exception of that quick start by Nebraska, that's the difference.
And now you want to see Reesing with that groin. He takes off running. Looks okay. You know, the coaches have said it's not that bad of a groin injury. They're kind of wondering if it's been more in his head than anything else. He looked pretty good on that run there. Good call.
Got the pass incomplete, thrown a little low for Jonathan Wilson, the junior out of Klein Forest High School in Houston. Well, Holmes with the cover, excuse me.
Well, there is one thing that is certain, is that Todd Reesing has not been his normal self over the last 4 ball games. Over 10,000 yards in his career, like we showed you at the top of the game. First 4-game losing streak as a starting quarterback at Kansas, and he just is not really that accurate so far.
Cale Pick has come into the lineup, number 7 as well. Reesing pitches the ball back, and it is Pick who will have the gain to around the 28-yard line. And that's going to be a gain of about 4.5 yards in the play. Alfonso Dennard defensively.
Now is the time where you have to think of Kerry Meyer, who's lined up to the right in the slot, being the guy that they will look for. Look for Meyer to work somewhere in the middle of the field. He's working against Gomes, who's a very good cover guy.
3rd down, line to make the 33. Good job of protection. Pass is caught by Meyer. A diving catch. And I think because of that effort, that's going to be enough for the first down.
Well, this is such a hard route to cover. It's like he's going to run a crossing route, then plants it, comes back out. And Gomes, who was right on the spot, almost able to defend it, but that is such a, and Meyer's so good at that route too. We've seen that so many times, and now what they'll do later in the game, they'll run like he's coming across the middle. He'll fake back to the outside, and then he'll cut back to the middle, and that is a double move that's even harder to cover.
So it's a first down. Kansas holds on at the 13-10 mark of the second quarter. Pass in the flat, and that's too tall. It was tipped at the line of scrimmage. Briscoe was the intended receiver. And right now, let's take a look at our Pacific Life game summary stats.
Well, a little better than we saw last week. Oklahoma and Nebraska, I think it was 23 total yards at after the first quarter, so at least we're up to 100 and almost 30 here.
Well, the thing that Coach Pelini doesn't want to see is what we saw last week, and that is over 100 yards in penalties against his ball club, and they got that early push in the back, and he was rolling his eyes already. I don't blame him. That pass is off the mark, looking for Jake Sharp. Matt Weiner in New York, what do you got for?
It's been a long time since you've said we've been able to say this. It looks like the wheels may have come off the Trojan.
Pressure, ball tipped, and it's going to fall harmlessly at the 43-yard line, and I think it was Dillard, Philip Dillard, who was coming on the blitz, who may have gotten a hand on it. Gomes was there with him.
Dillard is such a great story. Young man did not even play the first 2 games of the season, and that was really set up nicely by Crick. Crick held up the left guard Capra in the center hatch and let Dillard run completely free. So needs to go over there to 94 and give him a little fist bump, because that was a good play by the defensive tackle.
4th punt of the afternoon by the Jayhawks. Low line drive, and because of the coverage team, it is Nebraska had to run away from it. Got to be touch dead at the 22. So it's a timeout. 12:43 left in the second. 7-0 Nebraska.
Buffalo Wild Wings presents the top 30 plays of the last 30 years. 13. In the 1983 championship game, a late touchdown gave #1 Nebraska a chance to tie and win the title. But Coach Tom Osborne decided to go for 2 and the win.
This is for the national championship for Nebraska.
The pass was broken up, and the Miami Hurricanes were crowned champions. Follow the top 30 countdown all season long. Brought to you by Buffalo Wild Wings.
By the way, Nebraska had been ranked #1 every week of the season entering that game. And be sure and see play number 12 revealed tonight, 8 o'clock Eastern. Lee keeps it, breaks the tackle at the 35, and he is going to pick up 15 more yards after breaking that tackle by Darrell Stuckey. Wow, they say finally out at the 46.
Yeah, Anye Boulay, the defensive end, just completely blew his responsibility. He did not see that the quarterback still had the ball, and the backside defensive end, he's just gotten to, the term is stay home, meaning don't chase it. If you don't see it, just sit right where you are. There's no reason to move, and that opened up a wide lane.
That actually was Chris Harris who missed the tackle, and finally pushing him out of bounds was Darrell Stuckey. Fake the run, gonna go long. First guy out to practice? Yes. Niles Paul was so far behind the defender, the ball was thrown behind him, resulting in not a touchdown, but a huge gainer of 37 yards. It was not a blue jersey, very close to it.
Well, the whole thing with the play action, and this, Sean Watson right now is calling a really good game. Watch the safeties start to move up to the line of scrimmage with the play fake. And that allows Niles Paul to run right by them. That fake made everybody on defense think run.
Legate in the ball game at fullback. 1st and goal. And this time, Helou is not going to have very much at all.
And Sean Watson has been taking some grief by some of the Nebraska followers, but when you think of everything that this offense has been through, forget everybody they graduated, Joe Gans and that group, but they of course had to remove Quentin Castile, the really solid running back from the team back in August. Helou had that shoulder injury. Rex Burke had a really promising freshman running back, hurt his foot. The offensive line's been banged up. It's been tough sledding for this offense personnel wise.
Brooks in motion. Throws for the end zone, and that's well overthrown. Maybe had a step. Brandon Kenny, the intended receiver. And Lee was having to run pretty hard. Misses on it. Going to be 3rd down and goal.
And this feels like as the smaller bodies come in and some of the bigger bodies come off, maybe a little bit of a misdirection. I would get Lee out of the pocket again here. Maybe to his right, but maybe some flow to the left and then a bootleg to the right.
3rd down. Five-step drop, fade route, cornered the end zone, knocked away nicely by the defender. McNeil, the intended receiver, Justin Thornton, was right there to say, let's just take a basketball swat at this one and knock it to the ground, which is exactly what he did.
And nice job by Kansas defensively. It was all everybody was packed in for Nebraska. They did try to cross them up. McNeil had started on the left side of the formation, and Thornton read that the whole way.
25-yard attempt. Henry splits it. So with 10:47 left until halftime. New score, Nebraska 10 and Kansas nothing. So 10-0, and in this period, it is Nebraska with the win behind them. Kunalik prepares to kick it off, and it'll see this guy has a really good leg as the wind has blown the ball off the tee to further my point of the wind being behind him. And let's see if he probably will reach the end zone with his kickoff.
And Todd Reesing not off to a really good start, now gets the wind in his face. He's had some trouble lately with the ball coming out a little sloppy, not a tight spiral. Got to be very careful on this drive not to let one get hung up and intercepted.
Well, as we suggested, it's going to be in the end zone about 5 yards deep. And Darryl Stuckey says, I will go to one knee. We'll take it at the 20. So let's see if Reesing and company can get something going on this senior day in Lawrence, Kansas. Reesing, one of the senior captains, Jake Sharp, along with Stuckey. And, of course, Kerry Meyer.
And the last 3 ball games, just an absolute struggle. A lot of this put a little too much on Reesing, but he's pressed a little bit. Now I think Ed Warner, the offensive coordinator, maybe some screens, couple of draws, try to get something going with this wind in their face where he doesn't really have to unload it.
Well, Purim comes into the ball game at tailback. And the quarterback's going to keep it. And Reesing, oh boy. Flag goes down, and there should be for good reason. Asante, I tell you what now, Asante is the one who had to hit last week in the little demonstration.
Yeah, over Adrian Tennell, yeah.
And that is, I mean, this is serious stuff in my book. If a guy is down, watch it for yourself, and then the hit, and you're leading with the top of the headgear.
15-yard penalty.
That is
an automatic first down.
A double no-no in my book. I just think that's what we're trying to get away from in college football. And that's how you maim somebody for life.
And that's the type of one where the officials have been told to consider ejection, and because the player was sliding, obviously giving himself up, I'm not so sure as the referee Cooper Castleberry calls his own timeout to talk to Coach Mangino. I wouldn't be surprised. That's what he's saying.
That's what Mark is saying right now.
I don't blame him.
That he should be kicked out of the ball game. And I'm not going to say he should, but I'll tell you, I certainly wouldn't argue with it if it happened.
Yep.
Because if a man is sliding, obviously he is down. He's given himself up. And then, see, he is down in the top of the headgear. I'm sorry, and looking at that one, that should be expulsion.
Yeah, and I'm sure that
there is no place for that.
Yeah,
none.
Big 12 Conference will certainly look at that on Monday on their review of plays like that. Wouldn't be surprised if something was handed out.
Reesing to throw on first down, and it's going to be incomplete. Kerry Meyer, the intended receiver. and it's Gomes defensively for the Cornhuskers.
Well, Reesing seemed to be okay when he got up, but he is now 3 of 11, and that one there, again, he's just not, he's not sharp. He's not himself so far in this game. The ball's getting out quickly. They're calling a nice package of routes that are happening fast so that this pass rush is not getting to him, but he's just really struggling with his accuracy right now.
10-0, Cornhuskers lead. It's a 2nd down and 10 from their own 48-yard line. Reesing. That's Briscoe, and Briscoe is going to be very close to the first down. Don't think he has it totally. That's his first catch of the afternoon at the 10-10 mark of the 2nd quarter. Well, Nebraska had a 36-game win streak over Kansas from 69 through 204, which is the 2nd longest over one team in FBS history. What is the longest, though? Quick count. Ball is batted in the air and going to be knocked away on 3rd down, so they do not pick it up. So what is the longest win streak? And when we come back, not when we come back, but a little bit later on, we'll come back and pay attention to that and answer the Aflac trivia question.
Well, now you've got 4th and an inch, and I think this, you just go straight ahead. Find wherever Ndamukong Suh is. And it's going to be a timeout, Kansas. Find out wherever 93 is and run a quarterback sneak the other way.
So let's take a timeout. 9:42 left until halftime. So we are back, and it's 4th down and just inches for Kansas, and they sprint to the line of scrimmage. Under center, running play, going to go for the first down. That is O'Pura, the freshman out of Plano High School in Texas, played at Plano East, and 235 pounds, rambles for the first.
Now there's 93 to the right. I promise you that they called this play suspecting that that's where Suh was going to be and run to the left. A good call, and O'Pura, the bigger back, a good call, a good personnel decision as well.
So big important first down for KU as O'Pura right at the middle will take it inside the 35 as KU needs before halftime to get on the scoreboard here.
You know, I've been watching Jeff Spikes against Ndamukong Suh a lot of this game, and he's playing pretty nicely. He's done a really good job so far. Big physical guy. That's why they moved him down inside. Trevor Marangeli, a freshman, started last week against Kansas State, did not play great. So they moved Spikes, the former tackle, down inside. He's doing okay. He's playing okay.
Marangeli is the swing man today. We will see. Reesing pitches back. O'Pura turns the corner. You could hear the contact as he got to the sideline. That's Cameron Meredith. Cameron wears number 34, a redshirt freshman out of Santa Ana, California. And if you remember back to last week's game against Oklahoma, Cameron Meredith and Baker Steinkuhler, 2 redshirt freshmen, came into the ball game and really left their mark. They were all over the place and showed great emotion and spirit.
Yeah, it's kind of scary. Bo Pelini was telling us last week that he thinks his defense is actually going to be better next year because of guys like Steinkuhler and Meredith, and how much good experience they're getting this year. It'll be that much better for them next year.
3rd down. They need to take it to the 28. Quarterback draw. Reesing. And this time he slid a little too quickly. Ndamukong Suh will get credit for the tackle. And I don't blame him. If I had Suh on my tail, I would slide quickly also.
Yeah, and I like the fact that Kansas is going to go for it here. Their kicking game has not been great. Brandstetter only 1 of 4 in their last 2 games. Now I think O'Pura in there. If I'm Nebraska, I would be aware of a play action fake to O'Pura and look for Meyer in the slot over here.
4th down. Let's call it about 1.5 yards. O'Pura, puts a head down and bangs into Gomes and went right through him. And with that effort, it is a first down for the Jayhawks of Kansas, and the crowd, that turned them on.
Ron, this is the 3rd time that we've seen Kansas play this year, and this is by far the best performance so far that we have seen from this offensive line. We saw them against Oklahoma, which is a great front. We saw them against Texas Tech, who played really well in Lubbock. They're playing extremely well up front right now, the Jayhawks.
Racing gets the call from the sideline. O'Porum spinning, going to take it inside the 20-yard line, and you hear the response from the crowd. O'Porum really has been one of the sparks, certainly the offensive line, but that was a second and a third effort, and Amu Kamara is the man who finally made the stop. Now they're playing in front of the chains with a second down and short. And once again, nice job by Spikes. Of course, you end up getting the double team when Tim Beery comes over to hit Sue, but he goes out of the play. But give Spikes credit, kept good balance and finished the block. O'Porum again. Jared Crick with the stop, number 94. The sophomore out of Cozad, Nebraska. That is 7 straight running plays.
And O'Porum, a young man who we were talking about, Jake Sharp, when he got injured before that Duke game, took over for O'Porum. And O'Porum in there had only had a couple of carries in the last few ball games, but Ed Warner said that they were going to use him more in this game, and we see why.
12th play of the drive coming up. A defense for the Jayhawks finally getting a little bit of a rest. On third, they throw the ball to Meyer. 15 at the 10, first and goal, Kansas.
Number 10, Kerry Meyer.
Dennard defensively for the Huskers.
Tackle made by number 33, Matt O'Hanlon. Gain of 12 on the play.
And this play is all about the blocking out in front that time by 81 Jonathan Wilson. Wilson did a good job covering his man up and allowing Meyer to get into space.
Kept his hands down as much as he could as well to keep from being called for holding. First and goal, the ball is resting at, what are we going to call it, just outside the 5-yard line. Meyer in motion and a quarterback draw, and Reesing will score the touchdown.
Number 5,
and the waving wheat as the Jayhawks put it in the end zone. The ball did come loose, but the plane had been broken. Brandstetter to attempt the extra point, trying to make it a 3-point ball game. And he does. And as we go to break, let's take a look from down on the surface of Todd Reesing here on his senior day, scoring the first Jayhawk touchdown. Takes it into the end zone. We'll be right back. Welcome back to college football, presented by Kay Jewelers, where our score is Nebraska 10 and Kansas 7. 13 plays, 80 yards, 5 minutes and 49 seconds. Brandstetter will kick it off, and boy, that wind is gobbling any high kick. Paul is still fighting his way, and he'll take it to the 43-yard line.
And did Kansas need that drive or what?
No question. You're right.
And first rushing touchdown against a very, very good defense in the last 14 quarters. But you give tons of credit to Spikes going in there at right guard, and give the Kansas coaches credit for making that personnel change. But Todd Reesing seeming to get a little confidence, and I like the calls by Ed Warner going with a lot of quarterback run plays.
By the way, Nebraska has gained 155 yards on 5 plays of 10 yards or better. 25 yards on the other 17 plays. Little play action. And incomplete, couldn't hold on. Let's go to New York. Matt Weiner. So we're back in Lawrence, 4:41 left here in this first half. Jayhawks finally on the scoreboard, trying to get a stop here so they can get the ball back. Pressure from behind, the ball is pitched. no possession, and as he came out of bounds, that is going to be around, the 38-yard line. So that's going to be a loss of about 5 yards, if not 6. And that's Arist Wright.
Well, Helu had trouble with a pitch last week against Oklahoma. Remember, down on the goal line. Same thing that time.
When the ball was pitched, they had run so far.
Yeah, you just finish out the play.
Yeah, when an option play goes that far,
tuck it.
The sideline all of a sudden presents it's like the 12th person on defense.
Yeah, you should just tuck that. You're correct.
They're down. They got to take it all the way across midfield to the 47. So let's answer the Aflac trivia question, which is Nebraska had a 36-game win streak over KU, the second longest over one team in FBS history. What is the longest? And the answer, Notre Dame had a 43-game win streak over Navy from 64 to 206, and now Navy has won 2 of the last 3 over the Irish.
Both of those at Notre Dame.
Third down. Pressure for the outside. Lee gets by one tackler. The middle linebacker misses him. That's Drew Dudley. And then he is finally going to be stopped at around the 48-yard line, Chris Harris. And it will be punting time for the Huskers. But he is kicking with the win. They stand to put Kansas deep in their own territory. As we look at Laptad down again.
Although we could see Quentin Woods get some in there. He hasn't played much the last 3 or 4 ball games.
So the 4th punt of the afternoon by Nebraska. Wobbly spiral, hits at the 5 and then goes into the end zone. So the Jayhawks will be 80 yards away following that 52-yard punt. And they will have 3 minutes and 37 seconds to work with. Tuesday at 8, 7 Central, the season's most entertaining new hour. It's ABC's V. Don't miss a second of the series. It's being called riveting, action-packed, and instantly addictive. ABC's V, all new on Tuesday, 8, 7 Central. This time again, it is Tobin O'Bura, the freshman out of Plano High School. Played at Plano East. And an option play. Reesing pitches it back to him and slows down just a bit as Barry Turner's outside. And you could see from the shot that we had that the quickness of this Nebraska defense, you certainly don't have time to slow down and say, hey, I'm going to pick my spot, because as you can see, there are like 5, if not 6 defenders who were in the vicinity.
Jake Sharp has not played. He's on the sideline, has his helmet on, but remember, he had that calf injury. Wonder if maybe he strained it a little bit, or you're just going with the hot hand of Purim, which kind of feels like that's the case right now.
And against this larger defensive front, the bigger running back. Quarterback draw, Reesing looking for a spot to go, and Crick. Jared Crick is the man who reaches out, or Cameron Meredith, I beg your pardon. 34 rather than 94. Cameron will give you credit. That was a nice defensive play. This young man we talked about just a few moments ago. You see him playing off the offensive lineman and then comes back and makes the tackle. That's really good agility for a big defensive lineman, isn't it?
And really good hand placement. You know, talking to Carl Pelini, the defense coordinator / defensive line coach, he said Meredith has near perfect technique, and you saw that with that inside hand. He had total control of the left tackle Hawkinson.
Blitz coming off the top of your screen. Pass thrown complete, and he runs around the defenders. That's Briscoe. 40 out to the 45.
Pass complete to number 80.
28 yards. Now the interesting thing, because of his athletic ability and speed, he just circled around and left those 2 defenders.
Well, the reason that the ball got over there so quickly was that's where the corner blitz came from, and when the safety and linebacker went over, they were playing catch up. They never broke down. So good read by Reese and great run by Briscoe.
Racing steps up into the pocket, throws the ball too tall for Kerry Meyer down at the 30.
And that it couldn't have had a better defensive call on that 3rd and long by Nebraska. They brought the corner blitz. So look at Carl Pelini, the defensive coordinator, brought that corner blitz. They had it. Reesing had to throw the quick, what's called a hot read because of that blitz. And the 2 defenders that were running over there just played bad technique.
One of the things that Carl Pelini talked with us about on Wednesday, he said focus is what I constantly scream at him, because all of a sudden we go to sleep and we give up a big play. And they almost did against Briscoe just a moment ago. Jonathan Wilson. And Wilson close to the first down, although from here looks like maybe a half-yard shy.
That was a 3-down lineman look, and Barry Turner, the defensive end, is the one who goes out into coverage. And here goes Kansas going fast on 3rd and short.
Gain of 9 on the play. 3rd and 1 at the 46.
Oporem turns it up, has the first down. He ran into his home man to stop his forward progress. Barry Turner also was there to help out on the stop, number 99.
And Oporem had a tough-looking face there, and looks like he's gimpy.
Coming up, the Capital One halftime report with scores and highlights from around the country.
I think you got to get Oporem out of there. He's very gingerly walking around in the backfield.
Racing, Meyer over the middle, not enough for the first down. And here's a case where he threw a really nice pass. If you hadn't let him quite so much, Meyer might still be running.
Yeah, Racing is just not feeling comfortable right now in the pass game. The ball's just not coming off his hand right. It's always got a little wobble to it.
Pressure coming up the middle. Pass to Meyer. Has this one good for the first down, and tackled at the 31-yard line. Alfonso Dennard defensively for the Huskers.
Well, nice read by Racing. Sees the blitz, gets it out there quickly to Meyer, who's running the slant. But Oporem, the running back, he can barely walk. Jake Sharp has to be hurt.
28, now 27 seconds. Pressure coming. Pass over the middle is incomplete. Almost caught by Meyer. He had 2 defenders on him, and he couldn't hold on to it. Matt O'Hanlon, who had 3 interceptions last week against Oklahoma, was the defender who was closest to him.
And now with 21 seconds left, as we look at the incompletion, you've got the 2 timeouts, so you don't have to worry about getting the ball beyond the sticks, anything like that. But remember, Brandstetter only 1 of 4, the place kicker, 1 of 4 in his last 2 games. But I think you want 7 or 8 yards before you're going to try a field goal here because of the wind.
Here's the situation. 21 seconds on the clock. Timeouts left. KU has 2. Racing. Looking, still looking. Gets away, and the ball is almost intercepted and then caught by Wilson. And Wilson goes out of bounds at the 16-yard line. 11 seconds on the clock. It's a gain of 15, and the question is, with the 2 timeouts remaining, they can run another play, stop the clock, and have an opportunity to try the field goal if they don't get it in the end zone.
Well, and KU takes a timeout there. Very lucky that ball is not intercepted by Dennard. But Racing just that was not a good throw by your senior, but gets lucky. And now with 11 seconds left, and they just burned their timeout. You still have the 1 timeout. Well, you may need that now to get your field goal unit out. I think you go ahead and run the play. I don't think you use that timeout. Yeah. You had the ball out of bounds, so the clock was not going to start until the snap. So
probably what they're doing, though, is talking about that very strategy if they have to, just to make sure that they don't allow that clock to run out.
And so now with 11 seconds, you've got maybe 2 play throws into the end zone, maybe, but you just have to be careful. At least 1. You still have the timeout for the field goal, so you can run a slant here and use your timeout.
First and 10, Kansas at the 16.
Meyer in motion toward the bottom of your screen. Racing lobs it for the end zone way too far. 4 seconds showing on the clock. They got to go ahead and kick right here.
Yeah, if you did a quick kind of a slant hoping to break a tackle maybe, but because that play took so long and you also used your other timeout, now you have to bring on Branstad.
Give credit to the defense of the Cornhuskers. Jayhawks will try to tie it up. Kerry Meyer, for whom the pass was intended, will come back, and now he turns into a holder. As you look at Brandstetter, it's a 33-yard attempt. He got it. So heading to the intermission, we are all tied up at 10 apiece. Kansas 10, Nebraska 10. We are at halftime. You're watching college football presented by Kay Jewelers, where our score is Kansas 10 and Nebraska 10. Well, for senior day here, they're firing T-shirts into the stadium, into the stands at Memorial Stadium, part of the halftime entertainment. Everybody loves a free T-shirt.
Be interesting to see what happens with senior Jake Sharp. He was not coming in. Tobin Oporum on that last drive got banged up, and Sharp did not come in. Remember, Sharp has a calf injury from
He's walking okay right there, though.
Yeah, no, he seemed okay. He had his helmet, was by the coaches. He wears that sleeve on there to keep it warm. But I was a little surprised. Oporum just couldn't even move, so we'll see what happens. We'll track that here in the second half.
Stuckey, who is set to return the kickoff. Another one of these captains and a senior here this afternoon for KU. Kunalik will kick it off for the Cornhuskers, and they are going to take the wind in the third quarter, giving Kansas the win behind them for the fourth and final period. And this return is going to come out to around the 23-yard line. Let's take a look at our Pacific Life game summary halftime stats.
Well, you mentioned the wind, which was pretty stiff at the beginning of the game and through that first half. What's amazing when you look at these stats, the first downs for Kansas, all of those in the second quarter when the wind was in their face. And they got Ed Warner, the offensive coordinator, got Todd Reesing involved in the run game. Oporum, who comes out now with the first unit here to start the second half, got the running game going. So I would suspect it's going to be the same. I think we'll see Reesing in that run game just like we did at the end of the half there.
Oporum puts a head down. He's going to have about 3, maybe 4 yards. So both of these offenses have been in a position where they slumber just a little bit, but KU showing in the second quarter that they are not slumbering offensively. In the first quarter, Nebraska said, hey, we're not slumbering either.
You know, it was interesting. You said at the top of the show, being senior day, what was going to happen, all of that emotion, and now that you have a little bit of success at the end of the second quarter there, where Kansas really moved the ball well, I think they're coming out feeling pretty good about themselves at this point.
On second down, they throw the ball. This time picking up the first down, it's Tim Berry. The sophomore out of Omaha played at West Side High School.
Tackle made by number 4, Larry Asante.
And I can't say enough, Ron. This is a good plan by Ed Warner and Mark Mangino. They talked about moving the pocket some, getting it out quick, but this defensive line for Nebraska, after what we saw last Saturday night in Lincoln, has been awfully quiet. They've made a couple of plays, but not a lot.
It's Berry in motion. Gives it to Oporum, and there's just nothing there. In fact, he may have lost about a half yard. Crick and Turner combining on the stop.
Well, we saw last week what happens when you leave Ndamukong Suh against one man to block. Now Hatch working a lot. The center Hatch working a ton with the right guard Spikes. That time they bring in the swingman Beery, the H-back. But I'll tell you, I think that this is a good plan by Kansas, and I think moving Jeff Spikes inside is working out really well for them.
Suh has 4 tackles on the afternoon. It's Meyer in motion. Pressure from the backside. And boy, the middle screen was set up perfectly. And McDougal, I mean, just dropped the football.
True freshman out of Ohio. Came to Kansas because he wanted to play receiver, was recruited as a safety to Ohio State, but that one goes easily for the first down and maybe more. They had the left guard and the center were out in the middle, Capra and Hatch, ready to lead the parade.
Well, they had the right play, and if it is caught, could have gone for big yardage. Third down, line to make is out to the 46-yard line. Quick pass. Meyer breaks the tackle. 40, 45, 50. He has the first down and
Number
more.
10.
You know, you mentioned at the top of the show, Ron, what Kerry Meyer went through when Todd Reesing got here. And once again, you know, let's give credit to Jonathan Wilson.
Yes.
That's another nice block by him out on the edge. But a good run, picked up his feet. But Kerry Meyer has turned himself into an NFL prospect as a wide receiver after going through a tough time early in his career, losing the job as a starting quarterback.
First down from the 43. Reesing gets the pass away, has it complete, good for the first down to Briscoe. And I mean, Briscoe caught it in harm's way and then paid the price. It's good for 19 yards. And also, let's give credit to Reesing. This is a pinpoint throw.
Well, he started, you can see the confidence growing. It's strange to say that because he's a guy who is so confident, but it's been a tough stretch for this senior quarterback. That was a really nice play, a good throw, just in front of the safety O'Hanlon.
Option, pitch back O'Porum, and there's not much there. That's Dennard, Alfonso Dennard defensively.
Doesn't Reesing look like the guy you remember from years past? Just the way he's carrying himself. He's got that confidence. He's got the. He just looks different than he has in the last 3 or 4 ball games right now.
Well, he knows if they're going to win on senior day, they need him and they need this kind of play. It's Meyer in motion. Here comes some pressure. Got to get out of the way, and he just slides down after a very short gain right at the feet of Jared Crick, the 6'6", 285-pound sophomore.
And let's not forget that Kansas has something to play for as well. Of course, Nebraska in the thick for the Big 12 North, but Kansas is not bowl eligible yet. They have 5 wins, and there's a chance, even if bowl eligible, that they may not go because the Big 12 may qualify more than they have slots. So they may be playing for a bowl game at this point.
Third down. They got to take it down to the 14-yard line to move the chains. Reesing, good protection. Over the middle, there's Meyer. 15, 10, 5, loses the football and goes right into the arms of Matt O'Hanlon. Wow.
What a play by Gomes.
Gomes causes the turnover, and it bounces right into the arms of the defender from Nebraska. Wow. Matt O'Hanlon,
who is down, but Meyer did a wonderful job, stayed alive when Reesing was flush from the pocket, broke away, but watch Gomes finish this. Well, he just didn't have that very well. That wasn't much of a hit from behind.
Oh,
yes, it was.
Yeah.
Boy, what a nice play by Gomes.
So a timeout with the injury to the player. Tied at 10, and Kansas misses quite an opportunity. So we are back. It is a first down for Nebraska, very deep in their own territory, but they don't care. They just got a turnover that kept KU out of the end zone. Hello bounces it outside, pushed out of bounds up at the 11. Now they're going to say the 12-yard line. Drew Dudley forced him out of bounds, but as I said, they don't care that they're having to take these snaps so deep in their own territory. KU was about to push this thing in the end zone.
What a wonderful play by Dijon Gomes to finish that. He got beat when Myers went by him, crossed his face when Reesing was scrambling, but Gomes did not give up on the play and just did an excellent job popping that ball out.
Going to be a quarterback keeper.
Ball carrier number 5.
I don't believe he picked up the first down either. Daryl Stuckey, one of the seniors we've talked so much about, is there to make the tackle. They did not.
Gain of 1 on the play.
Well, Nebraska first downs in the last 7 quarters, 13 first downs. As we said, they have struggled, but in the first quarter today they played well. They put 10 points on the board. What enough to get 10 points, I guess is what I should say. 3rd down and short. Hello. Well, they got a hole for him and able to have the first down, so they'll hold on to the football.
Ball carrier number 10.
Legate, nice block. Number 48, the fullback.
Stop made by number
And Legate,
34.
a walk-on, of course. When have you ever seen a fullback from Nebraska who's not a walk-on? He had a wonderful block last week, did Legate, against Oklahoma on that 63-yard run by Helou.
His father played fullback at Lincoln as well. Tied at 10 apiece. 9:20 to play, 3rd quarter. Helou, that's a tough hit right in the middle of the line. Nice filling to the hole by Holden Tharp, number 34, the freshman out of Mulvane, Kansas.
Well, and you also had Daryl Stuckey coming up right now. I think what Clint Bowen, the defensive coordinator, is doing is starting to get safeties down around the line of scrimmage, not afraid of the pass. So for Sean Watson, you've got to start realizing 25 is so close to the line of scrimmage. Go back to that play action. Remember earlier they hit Niles Paul on that nice play action.
2nd and 10, little play action, throws it out in the flat, got it to McNeil, and the tight end is going to be far enough for the first down. Finally bumped him out at the 30. That was Drew Dudley defensively, but not before he crossed the magic line, and all of a sudden a drive that started at the 4-yard line is out to their own 30.
And McNeil, a guy who's been pretty quiet this year, lined up on the right side, working against Wheeler, pushes off. Good coverage down the field. Lubbock Smith actually did not get sucked up by the play fake, the safety over the top. So good read by Zach Lee to come down McNeil, who had a lot of catches last year from that tight end spot.
Play action. They throw a second pass to Mike McNeil. People in Nebraska might be fainting that they've thrown 2 in a row to the tight end. Daryl Stuckey makes the tackle.
Well, they were so used to that last year. Joe Gans found Mike McNeil more times than any tight end had ever caught passes at Nebraska.
Well, McNeil broke the record last year. Not surprising that they would be throwing to him, but as Ed said, that was last year, not this year. 2nd down and 5. And here comes Helou. Tonight on ABC's Saturday Night Football, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish take on the Panthers of Pittsburgh. Saturday Night Football, of course, is presented by Southwest Airlines at 8 Eastern and 5 Pacific. Now, some parts of the nation are going to see Texas Tech and Oklahoma State. So to find out the game in your area, go to ESPN.com and search maps.
3rd down.
I think the guy you need to look for is McNeil again, lined up to the left. They've been looking at him, and now you've got Lubbock Smith over there covering him.
So it's 3rd down. They got to take it to the 40-yard line. And he got him. First down. McNeil on the receiving end, tackled immediately by Stuckey.
You know, and sometimes you think, well, We've gone to him 3 times on this drive. The defense should know, but now Sean Watson does a nice job of running a crossing route. The receiver, the slot receiver to the right, and McNeil, the tight end, to the left, crisscross, and Lubbock Smith could not catch up with him because all of those bodies, including, let's not forget, the umpire is in there. So when you run those crosses, you do it right at the level of the umpire. You got all those bodies, and usually you can get somebody open.
9th play, this started back at the 4-yard line. Lee with the fake goes on top, far sideline, one-on-one coverage, and the defender for some reason ran away from Niles Paul, and he makes the catch, and now is down with an injury, but he was left alone as the defender for some reason ran away from him. 47 yards on the receiving end.
Yeah, Chris Harris just never found the ball.
Coverage by number 16, Chris Harris.
Got one-on-one coverage. Lubbock Smith, the safety, is there. He spun around and never found the ball. Little hand playing. Let's see what happens when Niles Paul comes down with it. But Chris Harris just never found it. Wonder if he maybe landed oddly on his right arm there.
Well, some of these devoted students found outside the arena waiting for basketball tickets. Last night, they were not disappointed. It was a defeat of Hofstra by KU, 101-65, and the big-name freshman Xavier Henry, 27 points on the night, which is a school record. Back to the field of play. Running play takes it down to the 5-yard line, and we got a marker in the backfield.
Stop made by number 25, Darrell Stuckey.
So Lee is tackled at the 5.
Personal foul, tripping by number 68 of the offense. The 15-yard penalty, and replay first down.
Yeah, that's Barney Cotton, the offensive line coach. And Bo Pelini having a little discussion. They're going to get the left guard. Yeah, he sticks his legs up. Absolutely. You go for that cut block, and you can roll, and you should roll in case you don't get it, but you can't stick those legs up. That's the proper call. So
maybe put an asterisk by that play and that call, because all of a sudden it is a first down, and they got to take it all the way to the 1-yard line. 1st and 25. Kinney in motion. Little 20, fights his way to the 17. Drew Dudley finally put a stop on him.
You know, you mentioned earlier in the game around 104 yards and penalties last week for Nebraska against Oklahoma. How many times, especially early in that game, did we see the offensive line getting penalties that kept, anytime they got momentum, kept moving them back and moving them back and moving them back? And I think you're right. I think you mark that down, that tripping, and I think that's why Bo Pelini was so upset with Barney Cotton, the offensive line coach. Just, guys, we've got some momentum. We got forced a great turnover. We're going to have a 98-yard touchdown drive, and then we back ourselves up with a foolish tripping penalty.
So now a timeout has been called by the Huskers. 4:55 left, third quarter, tied at 10. So the situation, second down. And they need about 16 yards for the first. They have to take it to the 1-yard line if they're going to pick up the first down exactly. 17 to score. Lee has a man in the flat. Did he catch it? Yes, a one-handed stab by Brandon Kinney. This is a thing of beauty here. Watch it.
Well, that was a nice play, wasn't it? And Zach Lee did a good job of waiting for this. Good protection up front by the offensive line for Nebraska. Able to step up into the pocket, and now you've got yourself a 3rd and 8. Niles Paul is back in the game. Maybe a fade up the top here.
Lee is 5 of 5 on this drive. Lee, pressure of all the things that he couldn't do is give up a sack, and he just did. Onyebule, one of the seniors also. And that is big right there, because if they do go for the field goal, it's going to be in the vicinity of, what, 34 yards.
Well, because of the coin toss when Kansas deferred, they chose obviously to go on offense. So Nebraska in the third quarter took the win, so should be a little help.
Yeah, in fact, for this guy, 34 should not be a problem at all. And he zings it through. 34-yard field goal. So with 3:42 left in the third quarter, new score, Nebraska by 3, 13-10. Kunelich kicks it to the goal line, and Stuckey returns it and brings it out to the 23-yard line. ABC Comedy Wednesday at 9, 8 Central. There are two big reasons to watch the fall's #1 new comedy. Ed Norton and Elizabeth Banks guest star. ABC's Modern Family. Well, this ball game has been a battle of the offenses struggling a bit, defenses playing pretty well, and it's been close, which is what a lot of people suggested. That's exactly the way it would be. 3-point game. And in fact, I think that's how much Nebraska was favored by.
Exactly.
Jake Sharp back in the lineup at tailback for KU. Reesing has the first down plus 7 yards. 17 yards on the carry. Amukamara making the stop for Nebraska.
Well, this was a designed run by Todd Reesing, and I think that Ed Warner and Mark Mangino have done a terrific job of getting this offensive line ready to play, because that took forever to develop, and they had tons of running lanes for Reesing.
Racing and thrown just a little too far in front, and I believe the ball was tipped.
Terry Meyer. Coverage by number 7.
Well, when you have a quarterback who's 5, we'll call him 10.5, and a defensive line that is as good as any in the country. These are tall guys. Sue at 6'4", Crick at 6'6", but they have great recognition.
Turner, by the way, got that tip.
Yeah.
Number 99.
Now, he's the short one at 6'3", so it was all trying.
He is the shortest guy on that defensive front. Everybody else 6'4", 6'5", 6'6". That's incomplete. Bradley McDougald, and it was Gomes with the hit who makes that play go awry. So now it's a 3rd down and 10. One other thing on Todd, Lake Travis High School, which is where he played his high school football, they won 2 nights ago in the first round of the Texas playoffs in Class 4A, and the high school has now got 41 straight wins.
Well, as soon as they got rid of Reesing, they got good. Oh no, he did fine.
You know better than that.
Yes, he did fine.
But I know that he keeps up with them. That school has won back-to-back state championships. Pass thrown complete. Did he hold on? Jonathan Wilson. Nope, they're going to say he did not hold on.
Pass is incomplete.
It was Gomes again defensively on the cover.
Well, Gomes is playing in that nickel back. It's the cornerback that plays inside, and he is just really playing physically. Wilson never able to put that thing away, but Gomes, remember, was the guy who caused that fumble by Kerry Meyer down inside the 5-yard line on the last drive.
Yep. Very large play. Here's the kick. Low line drive. Now takes a Kansas bounce, and it will be at around the 27-yard line. Right now, let's take a look at our city inside view.
Well, it's been all basically zone type of blocking for Kansas. This is right guard Spikes getting help from Jeremiah Hatch on Ndamukong Suh. Get him moved out of the way a little bit. Now you're going to get 1, 2, 3 guys to block 2 inside, Crick and Suh. And even though they're running a little tackle stunt, nice job by Sal Capra coming over as they slide their protection to the right. Done a nice job. I believe Suh officially 2 tackles so far.
I think that's right.
Yeah.
Hello. Stiff arm helped him pick up a couple of more yards as Drew Dudley the junior out of College Station, Texas. The middle linebacker for KU is the man who got out there to make the play. And he has had to run almost sideline, the middle of the field to the sideline, a lot of times in pursuit of Roy Helu.
And having Helu healthy is such a big deal for this offense. We were talking earlier about some of the people that they were missing. Quentin Castile, of course, was thrown off the team in August, and they have a very promising young freshman, Rex Burkhead, who hurt his foot against Missouri.
Dropped by McNeil. And that's the first time tonight that KU has done a really solid job on the bootleg. That time the defender stayed at home, and it made a difference. He delivered a little quickly.
Yeah, just didn't feel quite right throwing this. That's a good job by Wheeler. Now here comes the crowd a little bit. Big third down here. Watch for that crossing route again. Remember, slot receiver one side, tight into the other. Watch that cross with McNeil one more time.
Nebraska's 3 of 9 in third down conversions. Gonna run it. 40, 45, has the first down, got tagged hard at the 47. Halden Tharp will get credit for the tackle.
You know, we've been giving credit to the Kansas offensive line because they hadn't been playing well coming into this game, going against one of the best, if not the best, defensive lines in the country for Nebraska. But you know, this Nebraska offensive line hadn't been playing very well either. They've been banged up. Everyone, just about every starter, has missed some time with injuries, but they've been doing a pretty solid job that time. Even though it was a pass, they washed everybody down, and Zach Lee did a nice job taking what was there.
Well, this time Nebraska is going to come out with 2 tight ends, 2 wide receivers, and a tailback. Lee's pass thrown complete, and a hit immediately on Drew Young. And Drew, the junior out of Cozad, Nebraska, takes it for very little yardage. That is the same school that Jared Crick comes from, Cozad, C-O-Z-A-D. Stuckey was there to get a piece of him, just enough to knock him down.
Figure you may start to see Helu a little bit. I think that Bo Pelini may be telling Sean Watson, let's milk this clock a little bit and start shortening the game for our defense.
Linebackers creeping up, and the quarterback keeps it and throws the ball complete. No, incomplete. Ball is knocked away. They are wait a minute. Let's go back. Cooper did catch the football. It came right out, and it looked as though that probably they would call incomplete. That's not the case. Chris Harris on the hit, and if Chris Harris had turned around, he would have intercepted this pass.
Play action to the right, and Lee just got this ball there a little late, and yeah, that was a catch. Good job. And Kyrie Cooper, a young man who struggled a little bit last week, and that is a catch. Nice job.
Straight ahead with a quarterback sneak, and Lee will pick up the first down. Blakesley, Caleb Blakesley, a senior out of Ottawa, Kansas, made the tackle on him. And that should be the final play of the third quarter.
Yeah, I don't think Bo Pelini's going to let his offense hustle up and snap it. I think he's ready to get to that fourth quarter.
Yep, there's the whistle. That puts the clock in motion, and we are through 3 quarters of play. 13-10 Huskers. Thanks, ladies. The Husker cheerleaders as the running play hit behind the line of scrimmage, and what a play by big number 99 Jamal Green, who stopped the play behind the line of scrimmage for a loss. And right now, which is going to make for a second down. Hit about 13 yards for the first.
Well, Green just blows off the ball, lined up over the left guard. Williams, who's expecting help from the center, Hickman. And Hickman had already worked his way up to that second level of the linebackers, and Green does a good job coming off that inside shoulder to make the tackle for loss.
And now a timeout is being called by Zach Lee. So let's take a timeout. 13-10 Nebraska. 10 wins. Well, they're going to run the play. And Halu looking for a spot, and he's going to be tackled at around the 40-yard line. Third down, and they got to take it to the 33-yard line to pick up the first. Lee's pass caught, but the tackle made immediately. And a flag is down. We're going to have roughing the passer.
I believe we are. I think Jamal Green.
Well, McNeil is down after that hit after he made the reception. And Mike waiting for the trainers to come out.
Personal foul, roughing the passer on number 99 of the defense. The 15-yard penalty and an automatic first down.
Well, and Jamal Green makes a big mistake. I think Nebraska probably goes for that fourth down, but you'd rather have them at fourth down. It was late. That ball was out. It was not a shot to the head, but the ball had been out.
So let's take a timeout. Following that major penalty, 1st and 10 from the 20-yard line. Halu hit behind the line of scrimmage, and that's a nice job defensively by Chris Harris, the junior out of Bixby, Oklahoma, the cornerback, to come across, get penetration, and stop the play behind the line of scrimmage.
Get a feeling that this is the drive for both Nebraska and Kansas during this game. If Kansas is able to hold Nebraska to a field goal, still in the ball game, because of the way Nebraska may get after it on defense, if they score a touchdown, I'm not saying it's over, but boy, it's going to be tough sledding the rest of the way.
Pitch to Halu. No, he held on to the ball, throws, and it's incomplete at the 18-yard line. Niles Paul, the intended receiver, and a nice fake by Zach Lee. Had everything he wanted except a good pass.
Well, now you've got 3rd and 12. Good job by Onyebule getting pressure there, but now you've got 3rd and 12. And I think you are in, even with a little bit of wind, I think you're in Henry's wheelhouse here. So I think you've got Niles Paul up top. I think this is one where you could look for maybe a post route towards the end zone.
Lee looks for a spot to run, and he gets knocked down quickly by Jeff Wheeler.
A little surprised you'd call an option on a 3rd and 12.
Halu was still trying to reset.
Yeah, I think there was
the play was not run with a lot of continuity there.
Yeah, and I think this is a win for Kansas after a big penalty against Jamal Green to have Henry coming out. I think this is a big win for the Jayhawks.
So it's going to be a 38-yard attempt into the wind, squarely in the middle of the field. Good pass, good kick. He's got a lot of foot in this one, and he nailed it. 16-10, our new score. Nebraska on top. We'll be right back. And we are back, 16-10, the new score.
Must be his older brother's helmet.
I'd like to see his older brother. Oh, my. Donalik prepares to kick it off for Nebraska. And the Huskers on top now by 6. It's McDougal and Stuckey who are back. Stuckey is the deep man, and he'll return it from the 1-yard line. And they ran a reverse, Jonathan Wilson. Well, they ran a handoff rather than a reverse, and it didn't work real well.
Yeah.
You can see them bringing him around. Takes the handoff and headed toward the sideline, and it's a nice job of discipline as far as the Nebraska special teams.
trying to get something going for Kansas. Now, Todd Reesing. I feel, again, like that last defensive stand by Kansas felt like the key one there. This feels like the key offensive one. I feel like you're going to run out of chances if you don't make something happen here.
Todd 14 of 30, 176 yards. Pass on the spot. Meyer makes the catch at the 25. It takes it all the way out to the 30-yard line. Asante and Gomes on the tackle. Good for 19 yards.
And once again, what do? They move the pocket. Just not giving this defensive line a chance to do anything. They saw all they needed to see on that film against Oklahoma, didn't they?
That's right. And you know, Ed, what's going to happen is you're going to look at the numbers on both Crick and Sue, and the numbers are not going to be very impressive. But give more credit to what offensively KU has done than what those guys have not done. Sharp drops the football at the 40-yard line. It may not have been a touchdown, but it would doggone well have been a huge gainer.
Well, this was an excellent call.
And a great throw.
Yeah, this was just a perfect call. They had Sharp lined up in the backfield. They had him being covered one-on-one by a linebacker, Philip Dillard. The play fake, he continues. They semi-roll the pocket. And unfortunately, this is something Jake's going to take home with him tonight. Senior day, you want to be able to make that play. But
that might have gone for 6.
Yeah, that was perfectly drawn up.
2nd down and 10. Pressure, and he just throws it away. Very smart move on Reesing's part. He could see Ndamukong Suh casting a shadow on him. Let's take a look right now at our Pacific Life game summary.
Well, Ron, you were talking about this really for Kansas has been the story of the game. To be able to hold, remember, Jared Crick leads the team in tackles. Ndamukong Suh is second on the team in tackles. To hold these two guys to no tackles for loss, no sacks, is just, and this offensive line has not played great the last 4 ball games in this losing streak. They played really well tonight. Absolutely.
Ball incomplete. Flags come down from all over the place in the secondary. Meyer, the intended receiver. If we got pass interference, that 3rd down is going to be converted.
I believe it was Gomes. But again, how about that protection for Reesing? There has just been no pressure. And I would think maybe Bo and Carl Pelini may go back a little bit to what they did last week against Oklahoma, which started bringing. So we saw some of that in the first half. The corner
pass interference on number 7 of the defense. It's a spot foul and an automatic 1st down.
Because right now they're not getting anything with their front 4, and I don't know that you've been able to say that at all this year. But look at this protection. Well, hard to tell, but
I think it had happened prior to that.
Yeah, I think you're right.
O'Purum back in the ball game at tailback, and he'll fake it to him. And his pass caught by Meyer down at the 45-yard line. Haig is there to make the tackle. 15 yards. I'll tell you, quarterback Todd Reesing looks like his old self.
And that's just such a good route. You know, Eric Haig has to think, the way Meyer ran that route, he had to think he was going to go vertical, because he just kept pushing it before he crossed his face. And now Haig's hips have turned to the outside, and he's late coming back into coverage. Great route.
O'Purum takes it inside the 40-yard line. That's a gain of 6. Pierre Allen will make the tackle. And right now, Kansas saying, well, let's see if we not only can move the football, let's burn some clock here as well.
Well, this is shaping up to be a season-defining drive for Kansas. As tough as it's been for the last 4 weeks, they've lost 4 games in a row. Todd Reesing has turned the ball over 10 times during those 4 losses. But you go down, you punch this one in, eat some clock, and win the game. This could define the season, flip it completely around for Kansas after what's been a very disappointing run.
O'Purum, big opening, has the first down, plus about 3 yards. So it'll move the chains. Allen and Dillard combining on the stop. And the clock now will, by the time the next snap occurs, unless they hurry up, it's going to be down around the 9-minute mark.
You know, Perham is still favoring that left leg. Remember, he got hurt there at the end of the second half. He got up a little gimpy that time.
Racing still looking, knowing full well he's got plenty of time on that play clock. And they reverse it. Here's Briscoe. Tries to turn the corner, and what a job by defensive end Barry Turner. Folks, he was not fooled one moment. Matt Weiner in New York. What do you got for us? Our situation, 16-10. Nebraska leads it. This is the 8th play of a drive. It started way back at the 11-yard line. Reesing, great protection, throws the ball, has it complete to Meyer, still fighting his way close to the first down, will miss it by 1, and it's Gomes defensively.
Well, right now, Nebraska's defensive line is getting stonewalled at the line of scrimmage. They're getting pushed around in the run game. This is just shocking that this Kansas Jayhawk offensive line with Jeff Spikes was benched last week at right tackle, now moves in to right guard. They're playing really well right now.
Third down. O'Porum has the first down. Lazily fights down to the 20-yard line. Does not have to get in a hurry. And now, as they will get a fresh number on the clock, the clock shows 8:06 to play. They've just whistled it back in. We go under 8.
And I think Carl Pelini has to start dialing up some pressure. You're in quote-unquote red zone. Red always means an offense. When you say red zone, it means be ready for a blitz. And I think right now, Carl Pelini, the only way he's going to stop this bleeding is to get some pressure on Todd Reesing.
Reesing looks back at the sideline. Pass caught in the middle. 10-5 touchdown Desmond Briscoe. 21 yards from Reesing to Briscoe. All important extra point to come. Brandstetter prepares. Good snap. Ball is down. And the KU goes on top by 1. 17-16. Ed, take us to break. One more look.
Great protection. Nobody got off the line of scrimmage. Briscoe runs a great route and finishes an unreal drive by Kansas.
So we're back and take a look at Reesing on the sideline. Todd obviously is a very excited young man. He knows we got time left, but that's the longest drive by yards of the season, 89. And now they pooch the ball to try to make sure that no big return comes. And here's Paul, and they're going to have to make sure quickly because he's almost loose and gone. And a flag has been thrown at the 36-yard line. So the pooch kick kind of backfired on him.
Boy, it sure did. And with the wind at your back, maybe you just unleash it and see if you can't get it as a touchback.
Offside on the kicking team, number 30. It's a 5-yard penalty, and it's first down.
Wow. So look at this. Nebraska will have the football at the 31-yard line of KU.
Well, what do they coaches say? You know, we always think it's a bit cliched. We, have to win the kicking game. Well, there is Exhibit A. That's after a huge drive. That's Nebraska winning the kicking game. No, Nebraska has done themselves in with this type of stuff.
Snap. A false start by number 80 of the offense. The 5-yard penalty, and it's still first down.
It's Ryan Hill, the tight end, who had a touchdown catch last week against Oklahoma. But it just got to get sickening after a while as the struggles that Nebraska has had offensively, how many times they've hurt themselves. And let's not forget the tripping foul on Keith Williams earlier that made them have to kick a field goal instead of getting a possible touchdown.
Hello on 1st and 15. He is hit at the line of scrimmage. Maybe a gain of 1. Caleb Blakesley making the stop for KU.
Well, the last thing you want, and Sean Watson this week talked about how he has to leave his ego in the locker room because he has to call a game that doesn't put the defense in a bad spot. But, you know, here with the wind in your face, you are not, I don't believe, in Alex Henry territory quite yet. So I think 8 or 10 yards, if you don't pick up that first down, to get a Henry field goal, maybe a draw or a screen.
2nd and 15. Pass knocked away. At the last moment defensively, it was Halden Tharp.
Well, I think Kansas found themselves a ball player in Tharp. He's a young man that we were talking about earlier in the game. They wanted to redshirt him. Wasn't quite ready at 215 pounds, but he just brought a smartness and a toughness. Remember, in college football, there is no such thing as face guarding.
That's right.
He does not make contact with Ryan Hill. That's just a wonderful play by a true freshman.
How in the world did a linebacker wind up with that coverage on a wide receiver? He did, but he came through, didn't he? 3rd down. Line to make is the 21. Pass caught, and as soon as it's caught, the tackle is made. And now flags from all over as Justin Thornton made the tackle on Kyrie Cooper.
Well, I'm wondering if he didn't get a face mask or a horse collar. Boy, what a big penalty.
Personal foul, grabbing the face mask by number 46 of the defense. The 15-yard penalty and an automatic first down.
Thornton read it perfectly, was all over this. Yep, got a hold of that face mask. Nebraska catches a nice break. Now, Nebraska needs to not hurt themselves. It seems like every time they get into this position, Oklahoma last week, they had the fumble by Halou on the pitch. They get constant penalties. Now just settle down and make some plays.
From the 20, first down. Hello breaks it open and they score. 10-5. Touchdown, Rai Halou. Ricky Henry, number 74, with the key block.
Well, and instead of 4th down and a possible Alex Henry long field goal.
What a difference.
Yes.
What a difference a face mask can make in a short period of time.
Yeah. And now Nebraska going for 2, of course, because that would put them up 7. And I think what you may expect is a rollout to the right by Zach Lee.
Lee throws it at the last moment before he gets back to the line of scrimmage, and it's Niles Paul who makes the reception.
That was a really nice play by Lee, because the defense, he made it look like for sure he was going to run that ball, and the defense came off and he was able to find his receiver. Nice play.
So 6:19 left to play in our ball game, and the new score, Nebraska 24 and Kansas 17.
So here's Halou again. Legate in the backfield as the fullback, running the lead.
Look at Henry.
Well,
see that block? Wow.
And what a really nice job also by Hickman, the center. And watch Lee here, and watch the blue shirts. It looks for sure like he's tucking to run and then pulls it the last second. What a nice play. And Anthony Davis gets caught reading the quarterback instead of staying on his assignment.
So the score and the 2-point conversion, and with 6:19 remaining, a 7-point ball game. Nebraska goes back on top.
Well, so Todd Reesing came out, had a great drive, and then Kansas tries the pooch kick, backfires on him a little bit. They get a key penalty on Thornton, and all of a sudden how much different is this Nebraska offense with a healthy Roy Halou? And even though it hasn't been a great outing for them defensively, this is still a great defense. So they can sneak into that Big 12 championship. I think they could give Texas a little bit of a run if they can continue to have Halou run the way he's running.
From the 7, this is Stuckey. And Darrell is going to finally be stopped at around the 23.
Well, we have not seen Nebraska. I don't believe we've seen them blitz in the second half. And the way Kansas went down the field the last time, I'd be surprised if you won't get that. So now, if you're Kansas, be ready for that, for some fade routes, some slants, some things to combat some pressure.
You know, Carl Pelini was really dialing up the blitz earlier. Briscoe, the intended receiver, overthrown. Amukamara back there on the cover.
I'd like to see a little bit more air on that, but Desmond Briscoe, extremely talented young man, but they are working with him on being focused and on every single play. Looked like he let up just a little bit. I don't think he suspected that they were going to go long, and here goes Kansas, just hurrying it up just a touch.
Briscoe now 4 catches, 77 yards, and 1 touchdown. That was the 21-yarder. And that last 89-yard drive. Pass knocked away. Nice defense on the part of Dennard.
Well, Reese wants that ball back because he had Meyer. Meyer ran another great route. It was like he was going to run straight to the sideline. He cut back across the face of Dennard, had him beat, and Reese didn't lead him. Put it behind him. He just has had a few throws today that just weren't right on the money. If he hits Meyer in stride, Meyer maybe picks up that first down.
Third down, line to make, the 33. Here comes blitz, pass thrown complete, and nowhere. Loss on the play. That is O'Hanlon along with Gomes, and Opurum straight ahead is a tough guy to bring down, but when he's back there trying to restart and give him a juke, just not enough time, and you can see he's still limping as he comes off the field. So that's the combination that Nebraska was looking for, and it worked for him.
And it was that blitz call on that down that really slowed it down, because Meyer had to get rid of the ball very quickly because of that blitz.
There's the boot by Rojas, and that one's going to go out of bounds. Let's go to New York. Matt Weiner. Helou making sure, it's a nice job making sure he stays in bounds, because the clock is about to go under 5 minutes to play in the ball game, and it'll wind up being a gain of about 4 yards.
And now Kansas with 3 timeouts. If Nebraska is going to start eating this clock up, they need to start thinking about using those, because it'll get down into that 2:30 range here pretty quick if Halou gets to going downhill and every run's 3, 4, 5 yards.
Halou, nice move back inside, and with that he's going to pick up the first down. Trying to stay to the outside, all of a sudden there's an opening to his right. He cuts there and picks up the first down. Halden Tharp will make the tackle. Halden is in double figures and has been for some time. He and Stuckey both just a bit ago, we were told, had 10 tackles apiece, and we'll update that on him to see what he's got.
Halou, for the second week in a row, going over 100 yards, now has 103. Of course, last week had 138 against Oklahoma.
Clock is all the way down to 4 minutes. Halou, not much there. If they pick up one more first down, they're going to be close to, I know that there are 3 timeouts left by KU, but they're in a position to almost run it out.
And if you're Kansas, I don't think you unload those timeouts just yet. If they get to third down here, I think maybe use one, try to save some for your offense.
Halden Tharp, 12 tackles. It's a lot of grabs for a freshman. This play hit behind the line of scrimmage and losing a couple. Chris Harrison, a timeout has just been called by KU, so let's take a timeout. So we are back in Lawrence, Kansas. Situation. KU with an 89-yard drive to go on top in this ball game by 1. Nebraska came right back, benefited by a pooch kick and a long return. And they took it in the end zone, and now they have the football back after a stop, and it's 24-17 with the Huskers on top. Haley turns the corner, cuts it back across field, tries to cut back again, and finally is stopped at the 33-yard line by Stuckey. That's a gain of 30 yards. He ran 60.
How about the cut back to the middle of the field? And even though the clock restarts after you go out of bounds outside of 2 minutes, you still lose that 15 seconds because the play clock starts at 25 instead of 40. This is a really nice cut. Just whoop, nope, I'm going to go back to the middle of the field because we're going to
take some more time off the clock.
Yeah,
it is really smart.
And they can't quite run it out here. They're going to need one more first down to run it out. So Kansas is going to start having to use these timeouts.
Hello, big opening, has 5, counted off at about 9 yards. Lubbock Smith defensively.
Because of the long run, Kansas will not use one of their timeouts here, because if they pick up the first, you've wasted that. But now they're getting into that range where if they pick up the first down, they may be able to run out the clock without picking up another first down.
Now look at this. Today, 27 rushes, 142 yards. Last week, 20 for 138. Robinson checks in the ball game. Hello gets a breather. And Ontrevious breaks a tackle. Still fighting. He's going to wind up with a gain of about 3. It's a nice effort. Onyebule defensively. And clock shows 1:47.
And it's going to be really close whether they can run it out without another first down. 136 to 145 is about what you can run out with 2 timeouts. So depending on how long each play takes, that's where that plus or minus comes from. Does a play take 3 seconds to run? Does it take 6 seconds? So, and running plays obviously take usually keep that clock running a little bit better for you.
Robinson takes it all the way down inside the 15-yard line.
And with 2 timeouts, Kansas deciding to wait until after the second down play to call their last 2 timeouts.
And the clock now says 60 seconds left in our ball game. 60 seconds. It is second down and about 4.5.
And I don't want to take away from what is senior day for Kansas. There's nothing for Kansas. If they end up losing this ball game, they should be embarrassed about. Came out, played well. Their offensive line played well. Reesing played as well as he's played in the back half of the season all year long.
Tackle made and a timeout called immediately by KU. 36 seconds showing on the clock. Well, can you hear the clock ticking? It's the sound of the College Hoops Tip-Off Marathon. ESPN family of networks showcase over 24 consecutive hours of live college basketball. 19 games from 5 different time zones, 6 top 25 teams, and let's see, we have got what, 6 top 25 teams, and that includes #1 KU. Went to see them play last night against Hofstra, and they are deserving of that early rating. A very, very talented basketball team. So this is all following Monday Night Football. 24 hours of basketball, the marathon.
You'll have about 2 hours and 15 minutes of that 24, won't you?
Yeah. Fran Frischel and I will be in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Arkansas, Little Rock against the Golden Hurricane.
I think that's a wonderful idea to get the basketball season started.
Roy Helou with the ball game. Breaks it open at the 5. Fights his way into the end zone. Touchdown, Cornhuskers.
this locks it in. You know, you said earlier in the game, Ron, it's been kind of the joke around the Big 12 that nobody wants to win the Big 12 North. Well, it's going to have to be won next week when Kansas State visits Lincoln next Saturday night, because the winner of that game will take the Big 12 North and the honor of playing Texas in the Big 12 championship game.
Henry with the extra point attempt is good, and with 29 seconds showing on the clock, the new score 31-17. And what's interesting, well, let's take one more look at the run by Helu.
You know, it's funny, we were talking before the game about how many carries Helu would have, and I said, well, he should get about 30 if they call it right, and he's going to end with 28. So I was close. I'd say the over/under was probably about 25, but the way this young man has run, and couldn't be better timing for Nebraska.
I start to say, when he's healthy, they are a totally different offense. There's no question about that. And he not only brings his abilities of what he can do for the yards after the first hit, but also he brings a poise and composure of an experienced player, and that maturity goes a long way. It's infectious, I think, for the whole offense.
And he's a young man who admitted that in years past he was not as much a team thinking guy, but he's changed that around and has really started focusing more on being a team leader. And you're absolutely right. And how much better, well, first of all, Kansas's offensive line, give those guys a helmet sticker, but also Nebraska's offensive line. I think this is as well as they've played in a while as well up front.
Here's the kick. They're going to put it on the ground. And the tackle is made at the 35. We got 23 seconds left. ABC Thursday. What if you saw a future in which your life was changed for the better? An unforgettable story about the power of believing. ABC's Flash Forward, all new Thursday at 8, 7 Central. Now, the interesting thing, you look at that scoreboard and you say, wow, 14 points, blowout, anything but a blowout. The way the circumstances have come up here in the latter stages of the ball game is that pass is overthrown, and Barry Turner with a huge amount of pressure on the quarterback Reesing.
Well, and it's a shame for Todd Reesing that his career and his last home game is going to have to come with a loss. And you know, he's had such a great, wonderful career, over 10,000 career passing yards, 24 game or season or career records here at Kansas. It's been a little bit of a rough patch, but you know what? Played well tonight against a really good defense.
Well, with about 6.5 minutes left, it looked as though that he was going to be the hero with an 89-yard drive and a 21-yard touchdown pass to Briscoe.
And it was two things: special teams, penalties. Roughing the passer. Justin Thornton, of course, gets called for the face mask, but it was that pooch kick that Niles Paul returned over midfield. And 5 losses in a row for Mark Mangino. Now you go on the road to Texas and you finish with Missouri in a neutral site game, playing for bowl eligibility. They're not there yet.
10 seconds showing on the clock. And Opurum is going to be the final play of the ball game as he is wrapped up by Turner. And 2 seconds down to 1, and it will be a 31-17 win by the Cornhuskers over the Kansas Jayhawks here this afternoon at Memorial Stadium. So once again, as the two head coaches head to the middle of the field in a handshake, our final score: Nebraska 31 and Kansas 17. Now let's head back to our Times Square studio and join John Saunders and Jesse Palmer. Gentlemen,
Nebraska knows this much. They're going to be headed to the Big 12 championship game, likely against Texas and the Longhorns in that game. Kansas State still has a chance. If they were to win that game next week against Nebraska, they would go to the Big 12 championship game.